For the longest time, I was scared of two types of books: horror and psychological thrillers. I have quite a vivid imagination, and I don't necessarily need help in the scary department sometimes. A couple of years ago, I honestly don't remember what series of choices led me to that point, but I ended up trying a psychological thriller, and now it's one of my favorite genres. This video is for anyone who, possibly like me, is a little bit nervous to try a psychological thriller, people who are new to the genre, or people who already like the genre but want some new recommendations. I have 5 thrillers that I'm going to recommend, and all of them I would say are relatively easy reads. They're not very dark, they're not very gritty, so I feel like these would be great ones to test out to see if the genre might be for you. The main difficulty for me in reviewing thrillers is not giving any spoilers, so I will do my best not to. If there is ever a time where I feel like I can't talk about the book without giving away twists, because all thrillers have twists, I'm just going to read from the Goodreads description. So the first one I'm going to recommend is The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This is one of the first, if not the first, I think just one of the first thrillers that I ever read, and I loved it. To avoid any accidental spoilers, I'm going to read the description. When you read this book, you will make many assumptions. You will assume you're reading about a jealous ex-wife. You will assume she's obsessed with her replacement, a beautiful younger woman who is about to marry the man they both love. You will assume you know the anatomy of this tangled love triangle. Assume nothing. It's so good. I really can't say more than that, but it's definitely worth checking out. My second recommendation is also by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, and this one is The Golden Couple. This book is about a woman named Avery who used to be a therapist, but she has lost her license. However, she's still seeing clients. She tells them upfront that they have to agree to her unusual methods of counseling. Marissa and Matthew Bishop come to her for counseling after Marissa has been unfaithful. She wants to fix the marriage, and that's why they go to Avery for counseling. But as per usual, secrets abound. There's more going on than what meets the eye, and it's a very good book. Next is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This book was one of my top reads in 2023. I really liked this one. The story kind of follows 2 timelines. The main timeline in the present day of the book is set in 1983, and it follows a story of Kit McDeer, and she is a home health aide. She ends up accepting a job to care for a woman that most people won't even go near. Lenora Hope has been the topic of a lot of gossip and speculation over the years, because in 1929, when Lenora was 17, her entire family was murdered, and she was the only one to survive. People have always thought that she's the one who did it, but police couldn't find enough evidence to convict her. And now, in present day of 1983, she has suffered a stroke, and she cannot speak, and she's in a wheelchair. When Kit arrives to help care for Lenora, she finds a typewriter, and Lenora is able to type out a message: "I want to tell you everything." As per usual, secrets abound. And this book has a lot of twists. It was so good. Again, one of my top reads of 2023. Next is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. April was the it girl at Oxford. She was fun, happy, outgoing, popular, and in her first term at Oxford, she develops a circle of 4 other friends. However, in their second term at Oxford, April dies. 10 years later, the group of the 4 other friends have all moved on with their lives, and the person who was initially convicted for the murder has died in prison. But then a journalist shows up and starts asking questions, and it turns out that maybe the person who died in prison is not actually the person responsible. Once again, secrets abound, and some of these 4 friends might have some secrets to hide. And the last book I'm going to recommend today is The Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth. Lucy has never really been close with her mother-in-law, Diana. Even though there wasn't actual animosity, they just never really got along, and Lucy just knew that she wasn't the daughter-in-law that Diana had always hoped for. When the main story takes place, Lucy has been in the family for 5 years when Diana is found dead, and it appears to be a suicide because a note is left explaining that Diana no longer wishes to live because of her fight with cancer. However, when an autopsy is performed, there's no sign of cancer, but there is a sign of poison, which of course begs some questions. Was she really killed? Who would have a motive to kill her? What is the motive? Secrets come out, and Lucy ends up finding out a lot more about her mother-in-law after her death than she did before. And I think I'm actually going to throw in 2 other book recommendations. These books are still not super dark or scary, but they're slightly more gritty, I would say, and a little bit more into the scary field. But still not too much because, again, I don't like horror, so I do have my line. One of those books is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Adam and Amelia Wright win a weekend trip to Scotland. This is from the Goodreads description. Every anniversary, the couple exchange traditional gifts: paper, cotton, pottery, tin, and each year Adam's wife writes him a letter that she never lets him read, until now. They both know this weekend will make or break their marriage, but they didn't randomly win this trip. One of them is lying, and someone doesn't want them to live happily ever after. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of secrets, and an anniversary they will never forget. And my last recommendation is 0 Days by Ruth Ware. I actually have a full review video I'll post a link to if you want to watch a full video on it, but here is the Goodreads description. Hired by companies to break into buildings and hack security systems, Jack and her husband Gabe are the best penetration specialists in the business. But after a routine assignment goes horribly wrong, Jack arrives home to find her husband dead. To add to her horror, the police are closing in on their suspect, her. Suddenly on the run and quickly running out of options, Jack must decide who she can trust as she circles closer to the real killer. And of course, after carefully selecting which books I wanted to include, I then thought of others that I could have included, so here are 2 bonus ones. I'm not going to get into full reviews, but I also really liked The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins, and another good one is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. So let me know if you are a psychological thriller fan, recommend one to me, and if you're new to the genre or if you want to try one, let me know if any of these sound appealing to you and if you end up trying one. And until next time, happy reading. The main difficulty for me in reviewing thrillers, when Kit ends up coming, no,